plywood is held together with chemical glue. So you should never burn plywood. You should never try to use plywood for anything that you're trying to use for food. So you can get wood, and then you can put pieces across, and then all you really have to do is just get a hole, drill a hole, and then you put a bucket underneath. So when you water, all the water that goes to the very bottom will catch in that bucket, so you won't ruin your cement. You can also use taller posts so that they're off the ground. Kind of like that.
And then you would like have catch it on something else.
Yeah, like a bucket.
Like a drain.
Yeah.
And it's just something to take into account that that's the depth of, because you're racing it, then you don't have a lot of depth compared to us that we have the dirt directly.
Exactly.
So you have to be aware of your depth.
Sure. That's a good point.
I have a question. My backyard is very, first it's like in a slope and it's very uneven.
Right.
So what would you do?
Okay, so what I would do is it just takes a couple more steps of planning. One of the main tools that I forgot to talk about was a leveler. This is a very inexpensive leveler. They got super expensive levelers. Something like this works fine. So what happens with your instance is you have a slope that goes down. One of the things that you might want to do is get a board or even a straight stick, and then you're going to hold it straight where the leveler is, and then of course the hill will be going like that. So then you would put a post down low, and the way that I do it, because our whole backyard is a slope, is I backwards design it. I design it so that it's level on top, and then I work my way down with the wood. And at the very end, if you don't want to be all super nice and have a precise cut, what I do is, let's say this is the slope, I'll just put the last board like that. So it stops the dirt from going out, and it's the only thing that contours with the ground. Everything else is at a level. So building with wood is one of the best things to do if you have a slope.
Anyone else have any questions?
I had a comment, just so that you guys notice, we have 2 boards on ours, and if you could tell, it's because of so much mulch, you could only see one. So that will also happen if you start to do that. It'll just start taking over, and you could also continue to build on top of it, or just be aware that if you start building and you start putting mulch, it will eventually start taking over that height of it, you know? So that's just something to be aware of. And if you walk around, we put so much mulch that you can't even see the first level on some of these. On these right here, you could, because these were the last ones to be put up, but the rest that are the original ones, I mean, we've covered up already like almost a good half a foot of just mulch, you know? So.
Anyone else have any questions?
So one of the other things that we'll talk about is, quickly, what other things you can do instead of wood to build a box. If you have a yard with a lot of trees, or trees that have been removed, definitely look at those long, thick branches as boxes, or even stumps. People could use stumps, and you could use sandbags, you could use hay or straw bales, stones, but yeah, one of our favorite right now is using the logs, because they seem to work really well. And a bonus from the logs is where the logs and the dirt meet together, mycelium starts to form.
They haven't gone to that.
Well,
Nope,
that's a key phrase word. Mycelium.
You guys will learn that in soil preparation.
And it's good. We've all seen it.
When you say logs, what do you mean?
Okay, so for instance, let's take a look at this tree. You see those branches that are going all the way up?
Yes.
Those branches, if we cut them, are probably about the diameter of about this big. And if we cut it right, it might be 8, 9 feet long. So you could just lay that flat, or you could even take a shovel and make a little bit of a dip so that the log sits in there. And then it makes a real nice wall for a
And then you
planter.
screw it together?
You can screw it together, or you could get some stakes, just some easy wood stakes and a mallet, and just hit them on the outside. But that's probably the easiest way to do
I
it.
like that. But where do you get the wood, the logs, if nobody has been...
You can take a look on Craigslist. A lot of
Craigslist,
people
want you to pick
yeah,
up their
they'll come
wood all the
pick it up.
Oh, wow.
And then you might, if there's a tree cutting service that you feel up to it, you can call them up and say, hey, I'm doing this project. Is there a way that you could save some 6-foot long, maybe 6-8-inch diameter branches for us? And they'll put it aside, maybe even for free, maybe just for a couple dollars, but they got to get rid of that stuff. They have so much. They have to get rid of it. And
are there any trees in particular you wouldn't use?
yes, poisonous trees, which I don't know if you got to yet or not, so I can't give it.
Yes, you don't want to. We already mentioned them. We don't want to use any. Well, we'll talk about it in a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
And you got to be careful with trees that keep coming to life, like yucca trees. Because yucca tree, you think it's dead, and it just starts shooting little shoots up. This is an amazing tree. Too bad we can't eat it. Eat the flowers though.
I have a lot of raccoons in my area.
Yes.
And should I protect it with something else around, like chicken wire or something like that?
You could. Have they bothered your garden before? Or are you thinking that they might?
I don't have a garden yet, but I'm worried that they might.
So we have raccoons. We have a pond, which they seem to like to go for first, but they also like the grubs. They don't seem to ever bother our vegetables. They will dig where you might have just put your transplants or you've done the seeds. I don't think they really realize that those are plants, but as soon as the plants get tall like these, we seem to never have any problems with raccoons. But if you do, one of the things that you can do, depending on the size of your box, is you could always do like I showed you with this and have that go over, and then you could just put mesh that you kind of just hook to a screw on the sides, and it's pretty impenetrable by them. We used to do that over our pond, and they would walk on it. And they tried to get in, but they couldn't get in. So that's an easy way to do it too. So yeah, and I'm not an expert. I'm just like you guys. I'm just somebody who wanted to do it. So I just tried. I've been doing it, and I guess you're professional when you grow your food and you eat it, because that's really the end goal. Is that you're just eating your food. There's no better feeling, so I hope you guys, if you have any questions, you can always contact me through her. And good luck. Build your boxes and have good food.
You've been talking about the hay bales, and
Yeah.
they're all really big, no?
Yes.
Straw bales. Straw. Say straw. You don't want to get hay.
Well, if you get a hay bale, because people give away hay bales, so
Yes.
if you get free hay bales, I don't think that those seeds will sprout on the inside.
So you want straw.
Straw, yeah.
And they're always really big, so
They're
they
pretty
take a
wide.
lot of space.
Do you still have that in the truck?
But they sell like straw.
Yes, if you've ever seen where they have a lot of erosion, like from mudslides, they'll have straw kind of in a round, deterring the water to go someplace else. And same thing like sandbags. It's just something that you can put on the side. And really what's going to happen is you're going to get a texture in your soil where it's really not going to go anyplace. It's going to have kind of a reaction to itself and kind of hold itself together to keep it moist enough. So you really just need something to kind of just hold it in place. I'm sure we've all driven someplace and seen a lot of plants growing, and they'll just have mounds. And the plants are on the mounds, and we used to just be amazed, like, how do they do that? Well, it's dirt. It's not soil that you buy at Home Depot and say, good luck plants. You really need to get some of that dirt, but I'm sure you guys talk
We're going
about
to talk
that.
about that.
I don't want to give up too much. So good luck, and we love to see people's pictures of their boxes and stuff, so I'd like to share.
The cylinders, you get them at the same place where you get the big bales?
Laura, do you know where you can get those?
I only see them online at like companies like Peter Farmers.
Yeah.
So make your own cylinder.
There's also, if you went to the section of your hardware store or like Home Depot, they also have huge tubes, like maybe about this big, that you could always use if you wanted something really quick and make it look kind of futuristic or something. Well, also they have elbows, so you could actually build your box a lot like this box was. And if you fill it up with something like sand, it'll stop it from being so light. So that would help.
Yeah, so there, if you do like a French drain, you can get a weed cloth, like 100 yards of like weed cloth that the draining tube actually goes in. You could use So it's not very
Yeah.
expensive. You just get straws. That's it.
And the fire department, or I'm sure other places too, but they have bags that they use when people out there with water.
Sandbags?
Sandbags. So you can fill that up with anything from wood chips to sand, and you can use that also if you just need a real quick way. And don't forget also, you could always just dig a big hole, line it, and then fill it up to the top, and then you got yourself kind of an interior box. Depending on the conditions. If you have contaminated soil, I probably wouldn't do that. But if it's something where I just want a section where gophers can't mess with this food, I might do something like that.
Thank you. Any more questions, guys? No. Okay. All right, folks. Well, thank you so much, sweetheart, for coming. I appreciate it.
Thank you. You guys have fun?
Now, let's go ahead and take a break. Let's take 20 minutes. Remember, I want you guys to scrub those fruits. The wash basin is over there. Try not to disturb the harvest. We just harvested on the left-hand side. Let's take 20 minutes and we'll meet in the